Welcome back to the Greensboro Coliseum. We get set for quarterfinal game number 3. The Tar Heels against the Tigers. Let's meet tonight's starting lineups for the visitors from South Carolina. Andy Kelly, Greg Buckner up front with Iker Iturbe, Bruce Martin and Merle Code in the backcourt, and Rick Barnes, who in 1978 went to his first ACC tournament here in Greensboro and decided that day he wanted to one-day coach in this league. His dream has been realized. He meets North Carolina and this talented starting lineup of Calabria, Stackhouse, Wallace, Donald Williams, and Jeff McInnes, and he'll be opposing the old master Dean Smith, who's won 53 games and lost only 21 in tournament play. The stage is set. It's Clemson and North Carolina as the ACC tournament comes at you from Greensboro right after this. In the regular year, Clemson lost both games to the Tar Heels. The first one was at Little John Coliseum in Clemson. Greg Buckner had a pretty good day with 21 points. It was a very physical basketball game. Look at the number of fouls on Clemson, 32. Rick Barnes, upset with the disparity in free throws, was ejected from the game. And North Carolina won it 83-66. The second game went to the Tar Heels, 66-39 in Chapel Hill. And as we mentioned earlier, Clemson has never beaten the Tar Heels in the ACC tournament. Bucky, might we expect that kind of a physical confrontation in this tournament game tonight?
Well, Rick Barnes will tell you he's not afraid, and when you get run out of your own gym, asked to literally by the security, you're pretty fearless. And his teams play that way. He knows he's oversized, outmanned, but they're going to fight you. I think the key to this is Clemson's patience and their ability to hold on to the tempo, even if the Tar Heels run out early. It's the only chance they've got.
Frank Scagliano, Rick Hartzell, Steve Gordon working this one. Stan Rode is the alternate. Mr. Scagliano puts it up between Buckner and Wallace. Stackhouse claims it. We're underway. North Carolina 22-4 as they start this ACC tournament. The defending conference champions. Wallace gets the easy stuff to start things.
Iturbe in there trying to play Rasheed Wallace, and there was no pressure on the ball. It was absolutely a room service there as far as that entry pass into Rasheed.
Clemson will be patient, as you mentioned, Bucky, but this puts a very high premium on shooting percentage.
Well, they actually had good looks in both games. They just didn't shoot well.
Earl Code, Clemson gets it back. This is Iturbe. Andy Kelly penetrating. Buckner inside, and Wallace there to clean it up. Williams. Kelly clears it. Big moment for this senior from Carthage, North Carolina, playing in his first and only ACC tournament. Gives to Merle Code. The Tigers trailing by a couple here, just underway. Wake and Virginia won this afternoon.
Carolina's patience will be tested too.
Shot clock hits 10. Kelly, a three-pointer, and Clemson takes the lead.
The high post, a good place to attack Carolina because Rasheed Wallace really doesn't want to come up. So if you're looking for the outside shot, and if he comes up, then you have the opportunity for the dump down, the high-low, very difficult to defend. Boy, inside they're really putting the body on Carolina.
And a 3-second violation is called on Rasheed Wallace.
This is Rick Barnes' second head coaching job in the Atlantic Coast Conference. He had the Virginia job for, as we say, a cameo of a day or so, and went back to Providence. And when he came this time to Clemson, obviously he stayed. His team tied for 6th place. He's got to get some votes for Coach of the Year. Got it.
Buckner, a little long, and McInnes the rebound. They were saying some rather ugly things about this Clemson team in the preseason. Well, the Tigers certainly exceeded expectations, won their first 10. Two-pointer for Donald Williams. Carolina up 4-3.
Donald really got off in the game in Chapel Hill. Rick Barnes said, I take some responsibility for that game. I had my team too concerned about running time off the clock. We passed up good shots and then had to hurry against the clock. We won't do that this time. We'll take a good shot when it's there.
In that game at Chapel Hill, Carolina led 23-5 and never looked back. Hit 10 threes that night. Code, too long again. Kelly the offensive rebound.
Amazing.
Code was open underneath and nobody saw it. Kelly drives it and scores it. Andy with 5. Clemson on top 5-4 underneath Stackhouse, and he's fouled by Kelly.
Rick Barnes very upset with that. His team a little slow getting back into transition defense. Everyone knows Carolina is most dangerous when they're pushing that ball up the floor. And you don't have to be a great basketball team to get back, be ready, and make the Tar Heels go against your half-court defense.
Here's Bill Harder coming in for the Tigers. Code will slide down and play the 2 spot. Andy Kelly is going to get a breather. Stackhouse to shoot a pair. He was the MVP of the ACC tournament last year as a freshman. Bill Ford and Sam Torkins, the only other 2 freshmen to win the Everett Case Award, as the MVP of this affair. A 72% foul shooter during the regular year. Stackhouse hits of both. The Tar Heels are up 6-5.
Tar Heels showing some down court pressure. It's soft. In fact, it's in retreat. Here comes the run and jump.
Underneath, they had great recognition that time. Harvey got the lay-in.
Good job that time. Clemson actually strung the defense out, backed it up, and made it come all the way to the half-court line. Carolina is very predictable. You almost can anticipate anything that they do tactically. But it's kind of like the old Vince Lombardi Green Bay Packers. You know what they're going to do. Stopping it, that's something else.
McGinnis. Calabria. Shot clock at 8. McGinnis missing the 3. A foul is called on Wallace. He pushed Iturbe out of the way. Very dangerously waved off the referee, and Wallace picks up his first foul.
Rashid is getting pressure by Iturbe underneath. That's a mismatch size-wise. And compared to what's been going on in there, that wasn't much of a shove.
Kelly returns. Iturbe goes out. 7-6 Clemson.
Barnes will rotate 7 people. Problem for him tonight is they're all a little bit smaller and a little bit slower than the outfit in the white jerseys. Number 4 in the country, number 2 seed in the ACC.
Kelly barely drew iron. McGinnis. Now Calabria driving. And a blocking foul. This one will go on Merle Code, his first.
This start, very, very important for the confidence of the Tigers. They've got to maintain a slow pace. They've got to hit a good percentage. Rick Barnes is willing to give some fouls. Carolina's strength is not at the foul line. Amazingly, they are the best team in the ACC from 3-point, and one of the poorer ones from the free throw line.
And Calabria 0 for 2. Wallace knocking it back, and Donald Williams control.
Buckner now on Wallace.
Code did a good job of stopping Stackhouse with the penetration. Now Williams kicking to McGinnis. Wallace the follow, and it's good. Rashid with 4. Tar Heels lead at 8-7.
Greg Buckner, welcome to the ACC. At the start of the game, he was guarding Stackhouse. And when Iturbe went out for a rest, he took Wallace. At 6'4". Wow.
Kelly baseline. Nothing doing inside. And Wallace comes back to block it. Calabria. Williams for 3.
That's when they're at their best, in transition. Big men run like gazelles, and the perimeter guys can do it all. Handle, spot up and drill, drive to the hoop, or feed the big guys who are running block to block.
Here's Buckner. That's short. Stackhouse got a piece of that. Here's McGinnis on the fly, up to Stackhouse, through his hands. Into the belly of Frank Scagliata, and we've got a timeout on the floor. 14:28 left in the first half in Greensboro. The high wire act didn't connect that time. We'll be back after this message from Bud Light. North Carolina 11 and Clemson 7. First 5 minutes plus of this game. featuring 5 lead changes. Tar Heels with pressure as Bill Harder gets it in.
Fronting the inbounds pass, that's more pressure than they've applied so far. You got to think about going long, though, because Rasheed Wallace is back there in center field.
And fumbled out of bounds by Rayfield Ragland. Second Clemson turnover.
Well, that's one thing Clemson doesn't do. It leads the league in fewest turnovers at 12 per game. They take pretty good care of the ball. It's so tough for them to get it.
Dante and the change of shot as Code came over. Now Stackhouse. McGinnis for 3. Very underrated offensive performer on this team with a galaxy of offensive stars. Jeff McGinnis averaged 13 a game in the regular year.
He's a 35% three-point shooter as well. Just a very solid starting 5. The concern always, although it didn't turn out to be a real Achilles heel, has been their depth.
Harder on the cut. Back out to Iturbe with Wallace flying at him. Iturbe has the rebound. Saves it to midcourt. And Bruce Martin. Harder with the dish. And Martin with a shot. Iturbe has it. Challenges Stackhouse. Ragland claims it. Well, Clemson getting a lot of opportunities. And they're still trailing by 7.
But they're keeping Carolina on defense, making them work hard. So far, no substitutions for the Tar Heels. Whereas Clemson has turned their people over pretty well.
Code, nice move. Has to arc it high and uses the window.
We had to put that back about 3 notches. That ball almost had ice on it when it came down. Rasheed is intimidating when you get down around the blocks.
Good help from Ragland, but he fouled it. Coming up at halftime, stay tuned for the Continental Airlines Fast Takes Contest, brought to you by Continental, the official airline of the ACC.
Easy feed, not enough pressure on the ball. Dante Calabria just kind of hangs it up. Rasheed Wallace almost didn't have a place to come down. Ragland got over there so quick with the help, there was almost no place for him to come down. And even as tough as the rules are, if you go up, the rules do give you a place to come down.
5 points for Rasheed.
Boy, he shoots a lot of free throws. Only 62%. As difficult as it is to guard him without fouling, he's going to greatly increase his point production if he can get that free throw shooting up at 70 or more. And he can do it.
Harder pounding it in. Ragland with the hook. 1 and done this time for Clemson after all those offensive rebounds. Landry in the ballgame for the Tar Heels. Feeds Wallace and another stop. Rasheed with 7 of the Tar Heels lead by 8. Biggest lead of the night for North Carolina.
Clemson not putting as much pressure on the ball as they normally do, and it's really just shooting fish in a barrel and feeding Wallace. They're just wrapping 4 around 1 and pounding it in there. And I don't want to say it's a mismatch with Iturbe, but it's a little bit like Bambi versus Godzilla. He needs help.
Code, 3-point. Burrow has 5. 17-12 Tar Heels.
Maryland got out on them big earlier in the year, like 21-9, and you looked up a few minutes later and it was like 27-24 with a 3-point shot and adjusting that. Oh, great pass. Great
We've
pass.
seen that play a few times this year.
Boy, Stackhouse along the baseline, mercurial, but the pass was perfect. They're 1 for 2 on the high wire act, as you call it. The great Walindas.
19-12 North Carolina. Code another 3. Jerry high to get it. Now looks to McGinnis.
A little too quick for the Tigers, in my opinion.
And Harder with the hand check. It is his first personal. We have a timeout on the floor in Greensboro with 10:49 left in the first half. The Heels by 7. And we'll be back after this message from Carquest Auto Parts. Bucky, North Carolina's at 7 out of 10. That percentage enhanced with plays like this.
That's why the Heels are shooting 7 out of 10. Those are what you call high percentage shots. Great passing and great athleticism. Stackhouse, a candidate for the John Wooden Award, along with teammate Rasheed Wallace and Joe Smith of the ACC, and so far Greg Buckner's had a chance to guard 2 of them in his first ACC tournament.
I'm sure the awards will start to pile up for those guys, and Stackhouse already, as Calabria misses, named the National Player of the Year by Sports Illustrated.
Clemson going zone right off the bat. A good down screen by Sullivan. Pat Sullivan in the game freed up Calabria, but it didn't go. So Barnes changing the defense, hoping to get a little more help inside to do something about that 7 for 10. But the Clemson problem are really here, coming this way. They're only 5 of 17, and they're getting a shot that they could get 10 or 15 seconds later and keep the ball out of the hands of the Tar Heels. Patience, patience.
Andy Kelly backing it out to Code as the shot clock hits 10.
With no Wallace, Clemson has to think about trying to create something inside.
Shot clock trickling down. Buckner missing. Harder had it for a moment. Landry gets the rebound. Back to Pierce. Stackhouse on the deck. Back out to Pierce. Landry for 3. Air ball, and a foul is called on Kelly as he pushed Sullivan down. What a moment it is, Bucky, for this young man. Pierce Landry, the Greensboro native, playing in the ACC tournament here in his hometown. Played for Mac Morris over at Page High School, and just an outstanding young man. We've talked a lot this season about his Moorhead scholarship and Phi Beta Kappa status at UNC. And talking with Pierce before the ballgame, I asked him, I said, how many games have you played here in the Greensboro Coliseum? And he was saying, probably around 10. He played some Christmas high school tournaments here, and then East-West game, and played Virginia Tech here earlier this year.
Boy, he did, and he gave the team a terrific lift. The Tar Heels had all they wanted against the Hokies that day. That was the day of Stackhouse' famous javelin dunk from the sideline. But he came off the bench. In fact, McGinnis was benched. He came off the bench and gave the Heels a lift. They struggled that day.
So after the air ball, Pierce comes back to knock down the 3. The Tar Heels lead it by 10. Johnson, number 4, is in for Clemson. Here's Cody, the runner, and the foul. Second foul on Murrow as he gets tangled up in front of the Tar Heel bench. Stay tuned at halftime when Dick Vitale presents the DirecTV Dish Out the Winner sweepstakes.
Clemson just not getting much done at all with drives to the basket. And the very few seconds that Rasheed Wallace wasn't in the game, they still shot 3-point shots. They really need to just be patient on the perimeter. Their destiny tonight is going to be on the perimeter shot. And once they hit it, I think that the Tar Heels may come out of it. Right now, they're just sagging in there because of the quick shooting of Clemson and non-hitting.
In the first 2 games in the regular year, Clemson shot only 36% against North Carolina. Not going much better tonight. They are 5 of 18 from the floor.
Back to the man for the Tigers.
Stackhouse. And that's a 3. Jerry was 7.
Boy, he had his tonsils checked too. Buckner was all over him on that one.
North Carolina expands the lead to 13, its biggest advantage in this quarterfinal matchup. Harder spins, shoots, hits. Bill Harder's second bucket.
Boy, what a day he had the last day of the regular season. 8 for 9 against the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech.
Stackhouse scores, Ragland fouls.
Turnabout's fair play. Rasheed Wallace now goes to the head of the key, and he throws the lob down inside. Jerry Stackhouse, 42, posting up inside, shows the hand. Rasheed puts it right on the money. And Clemson doesn't have an answer for that duo down low.
Stackhouse and Wallace, first team all ACC performers this year. Jerry finishes off the free throw and 10 points in the ball game.
Stackhouse is 72% free throw shooter. And he's kind of like Brian Stitt of Virginia a few years ago. You know, he's too quick for the big guys to guard. He's too strong for the little guys to guard. A very versatile player, and if you foul him, he makes you pay.
And not too bad at the defensive end either.
Sports Illustrated College Player of the Year.
Now McGinnis backs it out. We have 7:42 remaining in the first half. Carolina has doubled it on Clemson, 28-14. McGinnis out to Calabria. Iturbe claims it.
Clemson has to take a little more time off the clock and be satisfied with a good look at the perimeter. There's no place to go under there, fellas, until you start hitting some trees.
Carter spinning in toward the lane, and McGinnis with a hand chip. The first personal on Jeff.
Only the second foul on North Carolina.
Andy Kelly is in for Rayfield Ragland. And we have a timeout on the floor in Greensboro. Quarterfinal game number 3 with the Tar Heels in command. We'll be back after this message from Bud Light. The ACC tournament in 1975, Clemson had a great chance to beat the Tar Heels, but the hook shot by Tree Rollins rimmed out. Bill Ford went on to score 29 points, and the Tar Heels beat the Tigers in overtime, 76-71. Clemson 0-10 against North Carolina. Bill Ford, in talking about that shot, remarked, that ball was in the basket. I don't know how it came out, but it did, and the Tar Heels went on to not only win that game and move on to the championship.
Pretty good center on that team. Mitch Kupchak, too.
That was probably regarded as the greatest ACC tournament of them all, with all the games decided by 6 points or less. The 74 championship game between State and Maryland, generally regarded as the greatest game in ACC history, played right here in Greensboro. 28-14 North Carolina. The Tigers trying to warm up from the field harder.
Out of the timeout, Tar Heels going to their matchup zone.
Long three for Bill, nothing. Buckner saves it. Kelly has it. Now to Harder. Bill again, and no good again. And Wallace throws it away, trying to hit Calabria. Greg Buckner, we talked about before the ball game, and Bucky came in averaging 12 a game. He is yet to scratch in this one, and there's no question if Clemson is to get back in this game, they have to get some points from Greg.
Well, they've given him some tough defensive assignments, and that certainly has pulled him down some. The Tar Heels play good defense. They just don't generate as much offense off their defense as they have in past years with all of their trapping devices. Basically, they have a great offensive team. They keep on the floor, and they outscore you.
Kelly rolls it in on the follow. He's got 7. Looked like the Tar Heels playing a little 1-3-1 that time.
Well, they match up. They just shape up to what you're doing.
And playing with house money, up 28-16.
I think they'll switch back to the man. It was very effective. It was smothering. But they like to change out of the timeout.
Williams offline. That was a 2-point attempt. Harder runs down the rebound. So this Clemson team trying to battle the taller Tar Heels. This is the smallest Clemson team since the 68-69 season. Really makes it difficult when you're facing not only the size but the talent that the Tar Heels have. Here's Buckner, and he connects.
Tar Heels did go back man for man. Good move that time by the freshman.
10-point game.
This 5 minutes and 15 seconds remaining, critical to Clemson. They just got to hang at a 10-point or less differential here to be around in that second half. Keep Carolina from going off here and getting a run.
McGinnis, and that's going to be...
Walk away. Foul's right there on 12 red.
And it will be on Mr. Harder.
Wow, that was
for a moment. That was going to be a charge.
Frank Scagliotta did a soliloquy. I'm still not sure what he said, but he said it loud.
Pat Sullivan is back, and Wallace goes out.
Here's the good move. McGinnis going baseline on Harder. Gets a little hand check there. I'm not sure who the foul was on.
Rick Hartzell counseling Stackhouse. as McGinnis gets set at the foul line.
These two teams not real fond of each other. Carolina players talking about cheap shots and dirty play in earlier sessions.
McGinnis had one of the more remarkable stats during the regular season, Bucky. In 16 ACC games, 25 turnovers.
That's amazing.
Isn't that something?
Because if you look around the league, there's some pretty good point guards out there at both ends of the floor.
I mean, you figured you'd cough it up once or twice a game just on general principle. But not McGinnis. Boy, he had a great year.
That's a big improvement for him. Now, I remember Bobby Hurley his first year in the league. Good coaching does that. And, you know, they just take that talent and they just wear it down, buff it until it shines. And the key is to break down that error pattern without killing the spirit.
Kelly, a three. Buckner inside. Tips again. Out to code, and Clemson resets.
Frustrating for the Tar Heels. They were ready to run with that one. Don't sell these Tigers short. Tied for 6th in the league. They were predicted to have the worst team in ACC history. They fear nothing.
Code jammed up by McGinnis, gets the shot off and scores.
Oh, I thought he walked.
Earl was solid.
Dean did too.
Here's McGinnis. Calabria keeps it alive. Williams a three. Yes. Well, sweet rotation that time.
Williams has been selected to compete out in Seattle as part of the festivities of the Final Four in a three-point shooting contest. Also out there selected Cherokee Parks at 6'11" and 6'4". ACC have good representatives.
Hey, those big guys could shoot the three also.
Betcha. It's a new game. Every time we make rules on the big guys widen the lane and do things like, all they do is get better.
Iturbe, speaking of big guys shooting threes. Buckner knocks it away, but coming away is Donald Williams. Just a slight travel. And we've got a timeout. Little itty bitty steps. 3:15 left. First half, 33-20 Tar Heels. Let's look at an MCI proof positive instant replay.
Jeff McGinnis, the underrated point guard, makes the penetration. We don't see any defense there, but he elects to kick it out. And Donald Williams, just from outdoors, out of the area code, that's a long way.
33-20, North Carolina leading Clemson. Donald has scored 8. He's hit 2 threes in the first half.
Clemson just 2 of 12, and that's a key stat. That's the one they need if they're going to pull the upset. Carolina, a very comfortable 5 for 10.
And North Carolina always comfortable playing Clemson in this state. Clemson has not beaten North Carolina in the borders of the Tar Heel state since 1967 in the North-South tournament in Charlotte. That is a pretty long dry spell.
Rick Barnes is going to make geography a major for his guys.
Martin with the miss. Calabria up the wing. Tar Heels, everybody gets to touch it. Stackhouse.
Good job that time by Ragland. Number 45, good defender. Usually gives away pounds and inches, but good defender.
Wallace with 8 on the shot clock. Rashid with 9 led the ACC in field goal percentage, 66%. Third best in the NCAA.
He makes that tough 10-12 footer in traffic, and you wonder why he doesn't shoot better at the free throw line.
He's hit all 4 of his shots in this game.
One of the great mysteries of the game.
Iturbe jammed up through the foul. Point guard Pure Power proud to present the ACC Player of the Year. Look for this feature prior to the second half tip-off. To the free throw line, Iker Iturbe, the freshman from Spain. exchange student. Came from Plymouth, Minnesota to the Clemson campus.
Boy, he had 10 big boards in that now historic game when Clemson came to Durham to start their ACC schedule and pulled the 75-70 upset. He was a horse on the boards that night.
Iturbe with a couple of free throws. It's 35-22.
Clemson trying to help in the lane and still recover.
Carolina hangs on to it. Williams connects. Donald in double figures with 10.
It's a very methodical, surgical approach right now by the Tar Heels.
Ragland 3, yes. Rayfield hit 19 during the regular year. His first basket of the game. 37-25 Tar Heels. Code chases McGinnis. The lob across to Wallace. Poked out of bounds. And the ball belongs to North Carolina. 24 seconds to shoot. Rick Barnes winning 5 games in his first year in the ACC. Puts Buckner back in for Kelly. The best first-year ACC head coach was Press Maravich. He won 10 games in 1965. And the gentleman to my right, Bucky Waters, won 8 games in 1970 in his first year on the bench. Quite a fine mark indeed.
God, that was a long time. Clemson going zone. No, they're not. No, it's it looks like 1-3 in the chaser.
Shot clock at 7. Calabria up and in. Boy, you worked that hard defensively, and Dante Rainbows went in on you.
What balance on this team.
Final seconds of the first half.
Carolina with the lead. Going zone. 18 seconds to go.
Code looks over his shoulder back at Rick Barnes and
Penetrate. Kick it out to Bruce Martin.
here he comes. Code gives to Iturbe. He has his shot blocked by Stackhouse. Jerry has it. The shot comes after the buzzer and almost went anyway.
Almost banking on Saturday night in Greensboro.
39-25. Paul Cameron will be joining us in a moment. We've reached the break. And the second seeded Tar Heels, as anticipated, leading Clemson big at the break.
Today's ACC action is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, by Chrysler Cirrus, by Central Fidelity Bank, by BP Oil, and by Right Guard.
39-25, North Carolina leading Clemson. Bob Rathman, Bucky Waters, welcome back to our ACC tournament coverage. And Bucky, as we take a look at the first half statistics, the shooting percentages pretty much tell the entire story. Carolina, a lot of easy baskets, and they shot 60%, hitting 14 out of 23. Nothing came easy for the Tigers.
They just skated up and down, did the Tar Heels. They dominated inside and out. 3 for 15 for Clemson. That's a tragedy in the plans of the Tigers if they're going to have an upset today.
First half highlights, some good ball movement here for the Tigers. We're going to see a Merle Code 3-pointer. They really did a good job of working the Carolina defense here.
Well, they did, and then they got a little bit careless, and they just missed going 3 for 15. They need to hold that ball a little bit longer. For the Heels, it was inside and out. Stackhouse went for 10, and he did it inside. He did it outside. Here, McGinnis puts it on the money, and Stackhouse drills it. They just basically had their way at every phase of the way. 9 offensive rebounds for Clemson. That's an interesting stat. I'm sure Dean mentioned it.
The second half approaching right after this from Right Guard.
Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports' exclusive coverage of ACC basketball is brought to you by Budweiser, by Ford, by Discus Athletic, by DirecTV, by Continental Airlines, and by Food Line.
A 14-point lead for the Tar Heels as we get set for the second half. Bucky Waters, what say you in terms of the game plan for the second half?
Rick Barnes has very, very few options. I think the game plan was fine. They just need to slow it down and execute it better. The 3 for 15 from the three-point line was a killer. From the Carolina standpoint, what they don't want is for Clemson to come out and be able to control tempo and work their way back into this game. I think Dean Smith has challenged them to play terrific defense and see if they can put them away in the first 8 to 10 minutes.
The leading scorers in this first half of action. Tar Heels with 2 in double figures. Stackhouse and Donald Williams 10 each. Kelly and Code had 7 to lead Clemson. Tiger ball. Merle Code to get it in. And the Tar Heels with pressure, and Code finally gets it in. Cross court to Buckner.
Clemson came into this game with a 2-game ACC winning streak.
A missed 3 by Martin right out of the gate.
Much too fast. Looking at that first half, the Tar Heels starters all played 17, 18, 19 minutes. If Clemson's going to work their way back in this game, they really need to keep the Tar Heels on the defensive end and working hard.
Clemson comes up with the turnover. Code. 2 missed 3s to start the half, but there's Andy Kelly knocking one in. He's got 9.
I made the point a minute ago. They had 9 offensive rebounds out of their 14 in the first half. That's got to be a concern. Clemson much smaller, just a pure effort getting on that offensive board.
To set the record straight, I think they gave that bucket to Iturbe rather than Kelly. The announcers for this game, selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports, and the use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited. Florida State and Maryland, game number 4 of the day, our second one tonight. The winner of this one meets the winner of that one. Wallace looking for the long outlet.
Clemson getting awfully good looks each time.
Nice bat away by the Tigers. Well, they were measuring Stackhouse for another one of those skywalk efforts. But Clemson's able to break it up.
They scored on this one early. Caught the Tigers napping. Not this time. Double coverage for Stackhouse.
There's a 3 for McGinnis. Jeff with 8, his second 3-pointer. 42-27.
Watching the Tar Heels tonight, just like watching a machine, just slowly grinding it out.
Kelly, Merle Code connects.
You have to keep in mind with this Clemson team, 6 different players have led Clemson in scoring with at least 3 different times this year. There is some balance out there. They've just got to get control of that tempo, and they can work their way back in here. 12 points in 18 minutes is forever. And this is not a great start for the Tar Heels. They're allowing Clemson to just, kind of do their thing.
Iturbe on the deck. Bounce out to Kelly. Martin.
That's called an altered shot.
Yes. Here, you take it.
Rashid had that one measured. I think that one would have been about the distance of a 3 wood if he'd have put it up. He would have drilled it upstairs.
Calabria's first foul.
Go, finds it, room inside. Good pump fake inside.
Iturbe, part of the international flavor that is becoming a big part of ACC basketball. Iturbe from Spain and one of 6 international players in the league this year. You stop to consider there were 16 foreign players in the previous 41 years. Quite a shift in emphasis in this conference. 5 for Iturbe, 42-31.
Iturbe got his chance to play when Levin Gray, after an amazing physical comeback following his heart problems, ran a foul academically after 7 games. Iturbe has stepped in and done a yeoman's-like job. Again, just a freshman. Even got a few votes for the all-rookie team.
Williams bumped down the shot by Martin. First foul on on Bruce. It will send Donald to the line. He had 2 big games against the Tigers as Bill Harder comes in and Martin goes out. Donald had 16 in the game at Clemson, and Williams came up with 24, matching a season best in the home game against the Tigers. Rick Barnes sees his ball club trail by 11, and Donald to the line for the first time tonight.
The last time Rick Barnes was in the conference tournament, it was in Madison Square Garden, and he was wearing the black and gold of Providence, and he won it. Came south and left the championship in Providence and has to rebuild.
Calabria couldn't get the follow to go.
Clemson still hanging around.
12-point difference. Code driving in. Nothing doing with Wallace standing there. Iturbe reclaims it and draws a foul. This one will be charged to Donald Williams, his second.
It appears Clemson's lost a little confidence in that three-point shot. They just seem determined to keep taking that ball down in the lane.
Interesting, Clemson in its last 3 games hitting 45% of their three-pointers.
Oh, they were hot coming in here.
They're just 4 of 18 in this game.
However, it was not against North Carolina. There are games at the end of the season against Georgia Tech, NC State, not as tough defensively, not as tough rebounding.
Code short, gets it back. Out front to Harder. Tigers reset, trailing by a dozen. It has never been easy for the Tigers in the ACC tournament. 10-42, the all-time Clemson tournament record. 3-14 in Greensboro. Iturbe looks out to Harder. Corner 3 for Kelly. And he fouls Wallace.
That's the shot Clemson's looking for. Penetration into the lane, spot-up shooter in the corner. They're getting the looks, they're getting the shots. And they're down 12 with 16 to go. And that man scratching his head and saying, I don't know that there's any other way that we can do this. We got to stick with our knit.
Ragland comes in. Kelly goes out. McGinnis brings it up. Tar Heels, they've been able to hold Clemson at arm's length the entire game.
Clemson in a matchup now.
Stackhouse floats it up short.
Defense has not been the problem, even though the Tar Heels are shooting well. The problem has been at this end of the floor.
Buckner on the give to Ragland. Pretty play.
Russell in the crowd here gets to 10. We saw those signs earlier. ABC, anybody but Carolina. All the success they've had over the years. The Clemson rally here will spur some enthusiasm.
Stackhouse, nope, and Wallace on the back of Buckner. A little bit of yipping.
A lot of chin music out there, Bob. These teams don't like each other.
Second foul on Rashid. Timeout. We'll return after this message from Continental, the official airline of the ACC. Rayfield Ragland has scored 5. Quite the athlete, Bucky. He signed a football letter of intent to Auburn coming out of high school. And then quite a baseball player, too, drafted by the Blue Jays and then last June by the Minnesota Twins. If the baseball situation stays like it is, he ought to head to Florida. He might be the Twins opening day starter.
Well, there won't be many athletes down there better than he is. 10 boards he had against the Tar Heels the last time. Only he and Kelly are seniors on this Clemson team.
And Buckner puts it in. So Greg with 4, and the Tigers have cut it to 8.
Well, Buckner averaged 18 points and 5 boards in the previous 2 games against the Tar Heels. And as you just pointed out, only his 4th point. And we're 6 minutes deep into the second half. But for sure, Clemson hanging around.
Zwicker, Stackhouse took it from off his back and laid it in.
Off the tattoo. Stackhouse with a little tattoo just on that left shoulder blade. I believe he balanced it there for a moment before grabbing it and stuffing it.
45-35 Heels. Iturbe up and blocked. Clemson bench screaming for a goaltend.
It was very close.
Williams, he'll take it in Harder's face and miss it. Stackhouse, nope. Ball belongs to Clemson.
Clemson dodged the bullet. Iturbe, that last time down the floor, looking in there and not seeing Rasheed Wallace, made his move to the basket. But Jerry Stackhouse was there to repel it. Sky jacket he did.
Buckner inside the ring. Calabria up and in. Dante with 4. Tar Heels take it right back to 12.
Clemson really doesn't have that shot blocking potential to back up their defense, but Calabria coming from all the way on the wing. I know Rick Barnes expected some weak side help, looking to draw the charge.
Code spin move, but runs into Zwicker, and Zwicker with the push. Trying to go belly button to belly button that time.
Barrel Code with great quickness made a heck of a spin move, and he ended up with a face full of numbers. He was looking right at number 40. Watch his move. And the next thing he sees is 45, and it looks like a full eclipse. Zwicker can't quite stop his balance either, and it's a gentle nudge.
Here we go.
Carolina committing 4 fouls, Clemson only 2, a complete reversal of the foul situation in the first half. There looks to be just a little more crispness in the Clemson kids now. They're moving the ball with a little more authority, look a little more alert. But the ball still won't go down for him.
Kelly crashes. The foul is on Landry. Now, I'm sure, Bucky, the realization that there's only 12:44 left in their year, NIT notwithstanding, has a little bit of a fire to the Tigers. Time to play fast takes. Identify the player that appeared in the Continental Airlines halftime feature. Call 1-800-836-3ACC within 24 hours to enter. The secret code is 77. Tar Heels are running. McGinnis back to Landry. The open 3 is good.
Hometown boy delivers.
And Clemson stops the clock with 12:20 left. Clemson shaved the Tar Heel lead to 8, but now Carolina its biggest advantage of 15. We are back in Greensboro, and you're looking at the visitors' information booth here at the Coliseum. I thought Mike Krzyzewski had a great line about the ACC tournament here in Greensboro. And, of course, he won his first championship here a few years back. He said a lot of cities host this thing, but Greensboro seems to take it and hug it, kiss it, really take good care of it. And a great 3-year run begins with this 42nd annual affair here this weekend.
For the old ACC fans, Raleigh was the place, but Greensboro for many years got a hold of it and truly did do a tremendous job, and they're eager to keep it. Time will tell.
Number 3 on Rasheed. And free throws coming up for the Tigers. Rare opportunities at the line indeed for Clemson. Greg Buckner will be stepping up.
Carolina now with 6 fouls. 12 minutes to go. Some stats working toward Clemson, but they just can't put the ball in the basket.
Shooting only 31%, 14 of 45, and the three-pointer, which is so crucial to their success, only 4 of 21 for the Tigers. Buckner with 5, 50-36. Clemson up against the winningest team in ACC tournament history, the Tar Heels, 62-27. They've won 6 of their 14 championships here. Kelly with a push.
Clemson now in a box and a chaser, and Merle Code, a very short chaser, considering he's chasing Rasheed Wallace. What they're trying to do is eliminate that inside lob, which is just devastating to a smaller team. The problem is when you're in a matchup or a box alignment defensively, there's no pressure on the ball.
Kelly goes out with the 4 personals, and Iturbe returns. packed house here in Greensboro, but given the flavor of this game, you could hear a pin drop in this building. Very passive audience. Calabria gets it over to McGinnis. Jeffrey with his third 3 of the game in double figures for the 20th time this year with 11. 53-36.
Heels going zone. Just defying Clemson now to unlock their three-point shooting. What a great pass by Harder.
On the baseline to Buckner. Greg was 7. Carolina ranked 4th in the country. Coming into this one, at one time ranked number 1 this year, one of 6 number 1 teams. McGinnis. This time Stackhouse has it, goes up over Martin, left it short, and Harder pulls it down. And now a technical foul on Rasheed Wallace. He had something to say to Rick Hartzell after he hit the deck onto the bucket, and Hartzell hits him with a technical foul. That will be Rasheed's 4th personal foul.
Well, let's mark the time here, Bob, at 10:49. The crowd certainly woke up. Well, let's see whether in this methodical annihilation of Clemson by North Carolina, this, as we look back on it, could be a catalyst play to get the Tigers functioning.
Here's a look at the end of the play. Now, Wallace, as Stackhouse misses, Wallace goes down. Seemed to be pushed by Iturbe, and when Rick Hartzell looked back, Wallace had something to say, and Hartzell hits him with a technical. Code to shoot the 2 throws. An 82% foul shooter. Rasheed now with 4 personals.
A little buzz in the place. 13 down, 10:49 to go. And the Heels go man.
The bank, and Buckner's on the back of Stackhouse.
Bruce Martin just having a heck of a time. One of the few seniors on this team just can't seem to get it down. Getting great looks. There's Martin, just a little hard off the iron. The graduate student from West Virginia. Let's talk about effort.
Just can't get one to drop. He's 0 for 5. That's the way he wants to play his what could be his last tournament game. 53-40 Tar Heels. Williams for 3, no. McGinnis, and Code takes it away. Clemson running for one of the few times tonight, and Code missed it.
Pretty well a microcosm of the game tonight for Clemson.
Great look, and Zwicker puts it home. What a pass from Calabria. Boy, that was a beauty.
Serge Zwicker, averaging 2 points a game for the Heels, really ran the floor that time and was rewarded with a terrific pass.
Now Iturbe shaken up. Steve Gordon stops play to see if Iker can continue. Meanwhile, McGinnis goes out for the Tar Heels, and he's being looked at on the Tar Heel bench. Boy, this is a great catch by Zwicker.
Nice dump down. Clemson had people back, but nobody really picking up with defensive authority.
55-40. Martin, a little gun shy perhaps with his cold night. Now Martin, he'll have to take this one as open as he is, and he drops it in. 7 for Bill, his first 3, 55-43. Stackhouse for 3. Harder can't save it. Carolina ball.
Terrific effort by Bill Harder. A sophomore transfer from Furman, a hometown boy from Clemson, South Carolina.
Nations Bank, a corporate partner of the '96 Olympics, presents this Olympic trivia question. How many volunteers will be needed to help staff the '96 Olympic Games? We'll have the answer in just a moment. McGinnis is back for the Tar Heels and at the controls of the Carolina offense. North Carolina up by 12 with 9 minutes and change remaining in the game.
Clemson trying to match up out of their 1-2-2.
Zwicker knocked out again by Harder. Carolina gets a fresh 35.
Clemson really packing that lane, attacking that board. They're just too small.
Zwicker up and off. For a code personal number 3. Barnes adjusting the jacket. Kneels in front of his Clemson bench. Well, when you just don't have the ammunition, it's a sinking feeling over there.
It's real hard to win the Kentucky Derby with a pony. And size-wise, that's what he's faced with. Really had a terrific year of making the most of what he had.
Speaking of size, Zwicker at 7'2", the tallest Tar Heel ever. Hits the 2 throws. He's got 4, 57, 43.
Rashid getting a long rest this time.
Code. Zwicker out to McGinnis. Tar Heels in transition. Calabria spots up. Nails it.
Oh, boy.
Dante with a 3-pointer. 5 different Tar Heels have hit 3-point shots in this game.
Folks, you're looking at quality. They just they execute so well. And, of course, they're talented.
Buckner banks, misses, and Zwicker fouled to get the rebound. So Clemson will hang on to the ball.
Zwicker has a sense of humor.
8:14 left. Kelly with 4 personals returns, and Iturbe goes down. With that personal, Greg Buckner will step to the line and shoot 1-1. Bidding to become the 4th ACC freshman to lead his team in scoring, rebounding, and field goal percentage. Joe Smith did it last year with Maryland. Rodney Rogers and also King in '89. So Buckner really stepping into some pretty elite company in the conference. Misses the front end. The running high bank no. And Zwicker fighting Kelly for it. And the foul will be on Andy Kelly. .807 to play. See if they indeed call the foul on Kelly. There's Chris King and Rodney Rogers and Joe Smith, the men who've led their teams in points, rebounds, and percentage. And Buckner hoping to join them.
Buckner's still a candidate for the Rookie of the Year in the ACC. Won the weekly award 3 different occasions. And along with Benjamin and Harpring, were the top 3 vote getters among the freshmen this year.
We're still trying to figure out just which way the foul went. If it was on Kelly, it's his 5th. Well, we're thinking now that it may be on Code. Well, it is going to be Andy Kelly. He's still on the floor out at midcourt. And Ragland now comes in, and Mr. Scagliata says, yes, I know, it's 5. You have to go.
Andy Kelly's quite a story. Went to Dean Smith's camp and always wanted to be an ACC player. And went by way of Chowan Junior College, Fork Union. Everyone told him, forget it, you'll never play in the ACC. Well, he did, and had a very fine senior year.
He's going to turn 25 in August. Said he will at least lead the ACC in one category, age.
And not only that, but he had a 330-yard drive in a North Carolina long-distance driving contest. So he could play on my foursome anytime, as long as he's my partner. Godzilla.
Williams with 3 on the shot clock. Now Bill Harder brings it up. 17-point Carolina advantage.
Zwicker getting some quality minutes, which may end up being a real advantage for the Tar Heels through the course of this tournament. Rasheed Wallace a bit punitive sitting there.
6 for Harder. Calabria, good again. Dante with a couple of threes here in the second half. 18-point lead for North Carolina.
Shooting those threes at a 54% clip coming into this game. Boy, that's balance. Wallace and Stackhouse inside. Well, Stackhouse everywhere. And a great perimeter play of Williams and Calabria. You're talking about a terrifically balanced offensive and unselfish team.
Off the hands of Stackhouse and out of bounds. A timeout in Greensboro. We will be back after this message from Budweiser. You'll love this stuff play, and we'll feature the Tigers and Bill Harder to Greg Buckner.
The freshman from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, only 6'4". In 2 previous games against the Heels, he was 16 for 32 from the floor and had lots more of these. Tonight, he's been snuffed out.
If he's as good as the other Clemson Tiger from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Chris Whitney, he's going to have a pretty good career.
Indeed. Whitney just got cut, I guess, by San Antonio within the last 10 days, but there's a good chance he'll catch on with Philadelphia. John Lucas, the coach there, was the coach at San Antonio when the acquisition was made the first time. We hope so. He's a good player.
6 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. Carolina looking to join Virginia and Wake Forest in day 1 winner's circle here at the ACC tournament. Code short. Stackhouse, after having it knocked out of his hand. What a pass! Oh, Code to Buckner.
They haven't stopped hustling. Zwicker getting quality minutes with a block there. I think he got a good piece of that.
63-47.
McGinnis going for the basket, had all 5 white jerseyed Carolina players down inside the lane. When that point guard goes to the hoop, the Heels need to rotate back.
How many volunteers will be needed to help staff the 96 Olympic Games? 4,000. Boy, what an undertaking. It's going to be a lot of fun down in Atlanta and in Byron's. McGinnis with a dozen. 64% at the line. In the 2 regular season games against Clemson, only 1 turnover. Helping out on the offensive end. 4 Tar Heels in double figures. North Carolina leading 65-47.
Clemson has to pick up the tempo a little bit.
And Buckner up over the outstretched hand of Zwicker.
Both teams in the bonus now. Clemson has to start to shoot that 3 just a little quicker, or take the ball to the basket, try to stop that clock and put some points on the board.
Williams gets it back. Down with 13.
Good job, good balance. Put it up, got his balance, followed his own shot.
Martin misses out of bounds to North Carolina. 5 minutes remaining. 67-49, and Buckner shaken up on the play.
Bruce Martin played in '93. 2 years ago, Clemson was in the 7 versus 2 game and upset Florida State, and he was a part of that.
Code is the injured Tiger. So dot called here in Greensboro as they check out the fallen Tiger. Didn't see what happened to Merle at the end of that play. Now sitting up. And had the wind knocked out of him.
Certainly in no hurry to move him.
Now Burrow getting to his feet and heading to the Tiger bench.
Boy, he's had a terrific sophomore year. He had 9 assists against Duke. He had 10 boards against Carolina earlier. Scored 15 against Wake. A versatile athlete. Nice nucleus there for Greg Barnes to build on. Calls him his Slab 5. That's the building blocks of his program.
Buckner with the reach in.
It's a pretty neat gimmick. He's got the blocks on the dressing room wall for his 3 seniors, Andy Kelly, Bruce Martin, and Rayfield Ragland, and sophomores Merle Code and Bill Harder, because he felt those 5 guys met the challenge he laid out for them last spring when he arrived in Clemson. And he wants them to know how much he appreciates it. And eventually, when he feels his winning program is in force, they will be the Slab 5 that started it all. But not tonight.
67-49 North Carolina. Here's Buckner up and in. Greg with 13. He has scored 11 of his points here in the second half.
Tar Heels now almost nonchalant, the defensive intensity out of them, but they're still just marvelously adept at moving the ball and getting great shots.
McGinnis knocked out of his hands. 4:16 to play.
Excuse me, Bob. Rasheed Wallace with this big lead, still sitting, and will be well rested for the semis. It's just a little object lesson. 2 things. One, for Wolfman at the referee, I'm sure Dean wasn't real pleased with that. And secondly, with this lead, why risk it?
The winner of this game to take on the Maryland-Florida State winner. That game will be coming up next. Calabria floats it in. 2 seconds on the shot clock, and Dante has a dozen. The scoreboard arithmetic from the Greensboro Coliseum. Buckner. Way short with it. Iturbe backs it out, thinking 3.
They did not get a new count. Did not hit the rim.
Martin missing. Iturbe tips it in. Nice job.
Iker, a horse on that offensive board. 6'7", 230. An exchange student. I'll bet he likes the winters in Clemson a lot better than Minnesota.
Stackhouse just blows by Buckner, and Greg comes back to pound it.
Dean is hot. Not liking that foul by pointing directly at Iker Iturbe. Watch, here's the help. A bit of a demolition derby. Funny, everybody flew off. Stackhouse just kind of came down.
And time called, and now Rick Barnes has come out to midcourt to talk to the referees about what's happening on the Carolina bench. We'll be right back. We're back in Greensboro. This is on tape a moment ago, and look at Rick Barnes and Dean Smith in a shouting match separated by Rick Hartzell and Frank Scagliata. The bad blood that started in Clemson in game 1 when the Tar Heels and Tigers went at it, and Barnes ejected from that game, upset with the disparaging number of foul shots between the two and the fouls that were assessed on his ball club. Well, Buckner on that last play before our break with a hard foul on Stackhouse, that drew the ire of the Carolina bench, and then the shouting match ensued.
Rick Barnes was 12 years old when that man, Dean Smith, won his first Atlantic Coast Conference championship. But I guarantee you, I saw it clearly. When Iturbe made the foul on Stackhouse, Dean was up, went down along the sideline, pointed at him, talked to him, and as they left the floor, he worked his way back. Dean really upset. There has been bad blood all night. A lot of little chin music. Rasheed Wallace had a technical earlier. This technical on Rick Barnes. And this is the most adrenaline we've had in the building tonight. Unfortunately, it has been on the sidelines and not on the floor that it's generated it.
Now Stackhouse will shoot 2 shots. Misses the first. This was for the personal from Buckner and Iturbe, and it was charged to Iturbe. And Stackhouse getting 1 for 2. Now Jerry will shoot the technical free throws on the tech assessed to Barnes. So far, Jerry 1 for 3. Clemson fans letting them have it. And 2 for 4 goes Stackhouse. 71-53.
Remember, Barnes was ejected in that first game at Clemson. He's got 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and I think he had a severe reprimand from the Atlantic Coast Conference office for his ejection in Clemson. Less than a minute to go. He's made his mark in this league as a coach.
Now Carolina to the 4 corners to milk the clock and just try to put this one away as calmly as they can. 71-53. The issue not in doubt, but this arena is now energized. Williams with 15 and Carolina with its biggest lead. You just get the sensation from the Tar Heel players. They'd like to score, get this baby up to about 30 to finish off the Tigers.
I'll bet the post-game handshake will be fun.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark. Again, the Tar Heels spread the floor.
They're clearing the floor, just opening up the middle for Donald to work.
Stackhouse and Harder go at it, and look out. A technical has been assessed. I'm telling you, there are some short fuses out there right now. Harder and Stackhouse going after that loose ball in the corner, and a technical foul has been called, I believe, on Stackhouse.
Well, I think the sad part of this is that, you know, the players lose it, but I think the adults out there have lost it as well, and it's become an epidemic. Donald Williams releases from the top of the key. It goes off the iron. Stackhouse has a piece of it along with Bill Harder, and clearly there's Stackhouse with a little extra at the declinch.
So far as we can tell, just the technical on Stackhouse, no personal involved. An unsporting technical, and it will go against Jerry in the personal foul department. Earl Code will be at the line for the Tigers. 2 shots. Bucky, you were so accurate when we were talking coming back to start the second half about all the chippiness, in other words, that's going on between the two teams, and it really erupted on that hard foul by Iturbe.
Yeah, and when Dean really got up and went after him on the sideline, that seemed to be the gasoline for the fire. Just hope we get out of this one with nobody hurt, and I don't think anybody's going to be real proud of their actions tomorrow when they see this one on tape.
Scagliano, Hartzell, and Gordon just trying to keep a lid on it here. They'll find a minute and a half. Johnson with a runner, and it's up and in. 73-59.
Has a hockey flavor about it over the last 5 or 6 minutes. Clemson making no effort to foul or just going to waltz out of here.
Boy, and the tension in this building right now.
Normally that chippiness comes into a fire when it's a closely contested game. This one has been over for some time.
Under a minute to play. Code, long 3. Iturbe, fouled by Zwicker. 40.5 seconds left.
Number 45, Serge Zwicker, his third and 10th foul.
So Iturbe to the line. While Iker gets set, let's look at as Iturbe lines up the foul shots. He's got 9 rebounds to go along with his 7 points tonight.
No more third.
So now Iturbe steps to the line, a 58% foul shooter in the regular year. Here's a look at our MCI Proof Positive instant replay.
Donald Williams, who had 10 in the first half, comes up short, but boy, hits the floor, goes right back after that offensive board and converts. Now has 15 points.
Buckner missed the lay-in. Iturbe tips it in. 75-62. Sullivan over to Landry. Tipped ball, picked up by McGinnis. Sullivan takes the shot and hits it. A 3-pointer for Pat, his first of the year. 78-62 North Carolina. And Sullivan with the steal. 3 seconds over to McGinnis, and it will be no good at the buzzer. And Harder shoves Sullivan. Zwicker comes over to get involved. Shamon Williams off the bench, and the 2 teams are on the floor. They're trying to get calmer heads to prevail out there, but there's a lot of pushing and shoving. The Clemson team is off the bench onto the floor. The Tar Heels are heading to the locker room. And an absolutely ugly finish to this Carolina-Clemson game. They are trying to get the Tigers grouped as a team into the locker room. The Tar Heels are back in their dressing room.
You know, the Tar Heels trying to put a little icing on this defeat, going for the alley-oop on the last play. Did not set well with Clemson, and it appeared that Bill Harder may have hit the legs of Donald Williams as he went up to try to slam dunk and just really put the exclamation point on this beating, and that's what set it off.
Final score, North Carolina 78-62. And there will be much written and said about what has happened here this evening, and it has nothing to do with the outcome of the game. We will continue with our coverage from the Greensboro Coliseum in just a moment.